Our next speaker is Dr. Shiva Kintali. Dr. Shiva Kintalimp4 is the founder and CEO of TrueDat. Before starting TrueDat, he taught in the computer science department of Princeton University for 4 years. He is a frequent public speaker on AI, blockchain, cryptography, and game theory, and their socio-economic and cultural impact. Shiva's academic and industry experience spans algorithm design, complexity theory, cryptography, machine learning, blockchain protocols, algorithmic game theory, information retrieval, high-performance computing, compiler design, and large-scale graph algorithms. He is researching blockchain protocols, scalability, stability, and privacy since 2012. Dr. Shiva received his PhD in computer science from Georgia Institute of Technology, Masters in Computer Science from University of South California, and BTech in Computer Science and Engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. Every day, thousands of people are bullied, blackmailed, silenced, and scammed online using fake photos, fake videos, and misinformation. It is getting easier to selectively edit photos, videos, and audio, manipulate metadata of media content, and even generate fully artificial videos, example, deepfakes. In this talk, Dr. Shiva will present the implementation of a truth machine using AI and blockchain to enable a global, borderless, decentralized citizen photojournalism. The title of the session is Full Stack Photojournalism Using AI and Blockchain. Welcome, Dr. Shiva.
Yep, thank you. I'll start my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let's get started.
Okay.
Let me just move things around. Okay, so if you have noticed recently, there are 3 trends that are evolving. The first one is people are consuming news more and more from social media, like WhatsApp, Facebook, and Twitter. And on all these social networks, there are recommendation algorithms based on what you see. They recommend more content, and this content is mostly based on the content that you already have seen or liked before. So that's creating information bubbles and increased polarization. And on top of that, it's getting very easy to create and share fake photos and fake videos online. And there is a recent survey that concluded that fake news on social media spread 6 times faster than real news because they are written in such a way to rile up people. So let's focus on one problem, which is fake photos and fake videos. For example, it's getting very easy to, as I said, it's getting very easy to selectively edit photos, videos, and manipulate metadata and generate deepfakes. And they are usually used in bullying people, blackmailing people, and also in misinformation campaigns. And sometimes even genuine photos and videos are accused as fake. So let's look at some examples. So here is an example. The photo on the right side is real, and the photo on the left side is fake. So they replace the photo, the face of Robin Williams with the face of Jeffrey Epstein. So that's obviously a fake photo. There is an original and the face is replaced in the fake photo. So that's one definition of a fake photo. And here are a couple of examples of fake videos. So there is a video of Nancy Pelosi giving a talk, and someone reduced the speed of that video. And when you reduce the speed of the video, the video sounds like, the audio sounds like she's drunk. And the second one is the video of Joe Biden. They took the entire video of Joe Biden and removed some certain parts, and they made it sound like Joe Biden is making some racist remarks. So that's again a couple of examples of fake videos. And here are a couple of more examples. For example, ABC News broadcasted a video of a bombing, and they said that this is what's happening in Syria. But the actual video is from a Kentucky military show. So it's a real video. There are no edits in the video, but they assume that it is from Syria. It's a mistake. So that's again considered a fake news, but it happened by mistake. And again here in this photo is actually taken in Florida, and someone in Los Angeles shared this video saying that this is happening in Los Angeles beaches. So again, this is a real photo, but they shared with wrong location. So that's again considered fake photo. So here are a couple of more photos. The one on the left side was shared just one day before election, just last week. So it is a real photo, and it is shared saying that Joe Biden is not wearing mask because we are in a pandemic and he's not wearing a mask. But the actual photo is from 2009, November 2019, when there was no pandemic. So this is circulated on Twitter mainly to start a misinformation campaign. And again, the photo on the right side is from a meeting, and it's shared on social media saying that people are not wearing masks. Again, this is an old photo shared with wrong date. Here are a couple of examples from India of manipulated photos and old photos. So the point I'm trying to make here is this fake photos and fake videos. The problem is everywhere, from all spectrums of politics and from all over the world. So it's a global problem. And here is another very interesting fake photo. It's not exactly fake, but there was some crowd on a beach, and some journalists took a photo of this crowd, and he or she, they used a telephoto lens. So when you use telephoto lens, some objects that are very far away, they appear that they're very close. So that created an illusion that it's very crowded. But if you take the photo from top, or using a drone or drone photos, or drone cameras, then you will see that there is enough social distancing. So that's again considered kind of misinformation, because the type of lens that you use makes a difference. And there are also AI algorithms that can completely create artificial photos and artificial videos. Just if you give them one photo, one selfie, then they can make a video, artificial video of you speaking anything that they want you to speak. So here are a couple of examples of that technology. So the main point I'm trying to make here is it's getting very easy to edit photos or spread them on social media with a wrong narrative or make completely artificial videos. So I want to suggest a solution using two technologies. One is blockchain, other one is AI. So first, let's focus on blockchain. So we need something called a cryptographic hash function. So it's a hash function where you give any digital file as an input, and you get a 256-bit string as an output. And this function is very efficiently computable. It's a one-way function, and it's collision-free. So what do I mean by collision-free? If you give two different files, or let's say two different images or two different videos, the output that you get is completely different. And there is no way to know what the input is given only the output. For example, here is the hash value of hello world. So if I just change the capital H to lowercase h, as you can see, the output, the 256-bit string completely changes. So this is one way to keep track of the original content, whether it is manipulated or not. So even if you change one pixel of a photo, the output, the hash value completely changes. So it's a very important tool to prove authenticity of digital content, photos, videos, text files, PDF files, any digital input. Very important concept. It's good to know about how we can use this concept. And second one is blockchain. So we're going to combine this hash value and blockchain to build a truth machine. So blockchain is essentially a decentralized database. You probably know about databases. For example, when you store your when you're posting photos on Instagram, they are stored in a database. Your photo, your name, and your description, everything is stored in a database. But they're all stored in a database controlled by Facebook. But blockchain is different. It's a different kind of database where there is no centralized storage. The storage is completely decentralized. The data is stored on thousands of computers across the world. No single entity controls the entire data. That's very important property here. And they are stored in a very secure manner. And the data that is stored on the blockchain is immutable. It means once you store particular data, no one can change the data going forward. And it's also interoperable. That means there are several APIs that you can use to interact with blockchain, whether if you want to store data on a blockchain or if you want to retrieve data from blockchain, you can use several open source interoperable APIs. And it's permissionless. Anyone can join the network and look at the data, and it's very transparent in that sense. So I will not go through the details of blockchain. If you really want to know more details, look me up online on YouTube or on Twitter. I give several talks on blockchain, details of the technology behind blockchain. But essentially the main point here is blockchain is kind of linked list where you are storing the hashes of previous data in the current data. So if you want to change any particular one data entry, you have to change the entire sequence of data following that particular initial data. So it's very hard to change all the data in the blockchain because you need some consensus to update the blockchain. So for example, Bitcoin has an underlying blockchain. And if you want to change data or if you want to attack Bitcoin for half an hour, it will cost you millions of dollars in computational power to change the data in the blockchain. So it's very secure in that sense. So there is a high cost to attack these databases, decentralized and secure databases. So we have built a new blockchain with several interesting properties. It's scalable, zero transaction fees, and ASIC resistant. I'm not going to go through the details, but we built this blockchain mainly for journalists and with a goal of building a truth machine for journalists. So there is a blockchain where these are 3 layers of our technology where we have the underlying blockchain is built to have all these properties, immutability and tamper-proof data entry. And then we created an API on top of that to store and retrieve data from this blockchain. On top of that, most importantly, we created an iOS app where And as a journalist, all you need to know is the existence of this iOS app. Everything else happens in the backend. So if you use our iOS app, it's very similar to a camera app. So once you take a photo, at the time when you take the photo, we capture the time and the location and several other metadata. For example, the type of lens you are using, are you using flash or not? What kind of orientation are you using? So several properties of the camera will be used. For example, are you really taking a photo in a 3D environment, or are you taking a photo of a photo? So if you're taking a photo of an old photo, that's considered a fake photo, correct? So we detect all those. We detect whether you are in a 3D environment using camera depth sensing and also LiDAR sensors whenever it's available on the camera, on the phone. And the most important point here is you can verify the authenticity of a photo with just one click. So for example, if someone shared this photo of Joe Biden, with just one click, you can verify that it is from November 2019. It's not from November 2020. So fact checkers right now, you spend a lot of time to search on the internet these photos and verify whether they're real or fake. So we are making their job very easy so that they can simply verify the authenticity of the photo in just one click. And the most important property here is, I said that we are storing this information on a blockchain, but the photos and your profile information, they are not stored on a blockchain. Only the hashes are stored on the blockchain. So it preserves privacy. As I said, these hashes look very random. So when you're storing only the hashes, it preserves your privacy. You're not storing the actual data. And we can also keep track of the entire provenance of the content. For example, after you took a photo, maybe you made some changes. Maybe you increased the brightness or decreased the brightness, or you made some very harmless edits. So we want to track all those edits on a blockchain. Whenever there is an edit, we store the hashes of those edits on a blockchain. So we want to completely track the provenance of the photos from the time you captured it till the time you published it online or you broadcasted it on a TV network. So that makes sure that there are no malicious people making malicious edits. So there are several types of device security. So this is where the technology comes in and helps you secure your content. For example, iOS itself gives you several inbuilt security properties. And then on top of that, we have API security and then blockchain security and the provenance security and so on. And these photos can be embedded into any article. For example, let's say you are a photojournalist. You are a team of journalists and you have a photojournalist and you have a journalist who is writing the actual article. So once you take the photo, you can embed that photo in any article. And once you embed that, anyone can click on the photo and verify the authenticity and the metadata with just one click. So just like you can embed any Instagram photo, you can embed these photos also. So the main difference is that you can verify the authenticity of the photo in very easily. So that is the first part where technology can be used to build a truth machine. So as I mentioned, there is a problem of fake photos and fake videos. So we want to use technology to create photos that can be verified very quickly. So that is the first part where we can use technology to create provably real photos and also verify their authenticity quickly. On the other hand, we also have to detect fakes. For example, we cannot right away expect everyone to use this technology to take photos, right? It takes a lot of time for people to adopt these technologies. For instance, early stages of internet, the security was a real problem, and it took almost 2 decades to implement the entire security stack. Even now, there are some security vulnerabilities. So we want to have, so there are tools to detect security attacks. So just like that, we need tools to detect fakes. For example, if someone took a photo using a different camera or shared an old photo, how do we detect whether it is real or fake? So this is where AI can help. There are several AI algorithms that can be used to detect whether a photo is real or fake. For example, if someone shared a photo, but if it is created using one of these deepfake algorithms, or if they made edits using Photoshop or any of these photo editing software, they can be detected. Again, interestingly, AI comes here to help us. So for example, here are some rules that can be implemented inside AI algorithms. So whenever you see, in fact, sometimes you can see them in the videos. Sometimes they're very clear, sometimes they are not clear. So we need actual algorithms to find these anomalies. So for example, if you look at some of the fake videos, if you look at carefully, the boundary of a face are blurred because they are swapped with a fake face. So if you look very carefully, the boundaries of the faces are blurred, or sometimes the skin tone is different. For example, if you look at the first fake photo that I showed you, let me go back quickly because it's very important. So if you look at the very first photo that here, this one, if you look at this photo carefully, as I said, the photo on the left side is fake. The face of Jeffrey Epstein is brighter than the rest of the photo, right? So that's one signal that it's probably fake. So those kind of signals can be used to separate fakes from real photos or even videos. So sometimes the skin tone is different, and sometimes there are flickering lines around neck and hair. There was a video of Mark Zuckerberg, fake video of him was shared online. And if you look at carefully, there were flickering lines around his neck and hair. And sometimes there are blurs near the mouth and tongue and teeth and so on. Sometimes there is inconsistent skin tone, inconsistent voice. And interestingly, people are also using heartbeat. Some voice recording devices can record very minor voices like heartbeat, and you can use that to detect whether it's real or fake. And sometimes fake photos or fake videos have unnatural eye blinking and breathing patterns and inconsistent speech and mouth movements. These are very hard to detect by a human being, but they can be very efficiently automated using AI. And sometimes you can see crop defects and boxes, inconsistent video quality. If you look at a video and if some parts of the video are changed, they'll have different video quality and different lighting properties. So there are several rules like this, and they can all be automated using AI, and they're very non-trivial to automate. But this is where AI comes in and really helps us automate all this process. So we have built a technology to automate all this process, and this can be used by anyone, any social media or any media company or journalist to detect whether a photo is real or fake. So this is what I mean by full stack photojournalism. So there should be two parts. One is there should be a source of truth. For example, going forward, we cannot just rely on only detecting. We need some kind of prevention mechanism so that we can verify these photos very quickly. So that's why we have built this truth machine. And our goal is to create world's largest photojournalism community for provably real photos. Hopefully, more and more journalists will adopt this technology and we'll have a nice trust layer on the internet so that any photo, any source, for example, any professional cameras or Android devices, they can use this technology. And once you capture the photo with this technology inbuilt, you can verify the authenticity very quickly. So that is one side of the story, where you have a truth machine that the truth can be verified very quickly. And on the other hand, we also need this detection, where we need APIs and web interface to detect fakes originating from different sources. So this is what I mean by full stack photojournalism, that something that has a source of truth that can be verified very quickly, and something that also has a detection mechanism. So recently there is a trend of journalists moving away from big corporations, big media corporations, and starting their own independent journalism websites on the internet. So here are a couple of news. For example, in Thailand, they threatened to censor media outlets when there were protests. So, and several Hungarian journalists launched their own independent news site because they were worried about the government website. So this is all driving something called creativity economy in the last couple of years. So several journalists are becoming independent. They want to have their own independent voice. And if they are trying to create a video news, they are using YouTube. There's several journalists using YouTube to post their videos. And there are several journalists using podcasts if they have an audio, if they want to do journalism using audio. And if they want to write articles, they are using Substack. There's a new tool called Substack. And especially during the last 1 year, their user base is growing rapidly because several journalists are becoming independent. So this is where I want to address one of the common questions: is AI trying to replace all the jobs? AI is definitely trying to replace jobs in some categories. For example, if you're working in marketing, let's say most of the time you're getting some leads and ranking them based on how probable they are to convert into a paying customer. So those kind of tasks can be automated. Again, if you have a design, if you want to design PowerPoint slides. For example, when I was designing these PowerPoint slides, PowerPoint automatically suggested me several design ideas. So I don't have to hire a new designer to design my PowerPoint slide. So several of such tasks can be automated, but there are several tasks that require human creativity, and journalism is definitely one of them. So when you are taking photos, it's not just about taking a photo, it's about the human instinct, whether that photo is really worth taking. Is there an inspiring story worth telling behind that photo? If you look at several of these award-winning and Pulitzer Prize-winning photos, there is a human instinct when the journalist took that photo. So that cannot be replaced by AI. So all these tools are helping creative people, creative journalists, make their voice heard. So we want to be the tool for photojournalism and true photography. And in the last 2 years, we have seen a very big rise in the adoption of these creative tools. So that's all I have. And these are my contacts. So I want to make it very light and just tell you the two sides of the story on the preventing fakes and detecting fakes, because this is one of the major problems online today. So these are different ways you can contact me. And our iOS app is available, and we also have the fake detection web interface. So if you have any questions, I'm glad to take them now.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Shiva, for joining very early morning with us. And there are a lot of questions for you from our participants. And now my colleague Meenu PK shall moderate the question and answer session.
Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Shiva.
Hi.
I'm Neenu, and I'll be moderating our question answer session. So, shall we begin?
Yes, let's get started.
Okay. So, this is our first question. Do you think political parties are using fake videos of opposition at large to shame them? And do you think this happens in India too?
Yes, it is. It is happening. In fact, especially in the last 2 years, I'm spending a large proportion of my time fact checking. So if you look at that Joe Biden video that came out just one day before the election, saying that he is wearing masks in public, but he's not wearing masks on aeroplane, right? So, and that was shared by politicians. In fact, that was shared by some people that are currently in the White House. It's, I don't know how to even categorize such misinformation. And that has become a very big problem across the world. Political parties, people in power are actually sharing these fake photos and fake videos with the intention to start a misinformation campaign or malign the other party. And especially, it's also happening in India. In fact, if I look at all the fake news, if I rank them by country, the number one is India. Number two is probably US. For example, I shared on one slide, I showed you a couple of fake photos. And if you look at the origin of those fake photos, they're actually the first time when they are shared by some politicians on the internet. And this is coming from all sides of the political spectrum. And to be frank, in the last 2 years, when I see all these fake photos and fake videos, I really lost trust, about any content that I see online, especially anything that is potentially political in tone. So it's really creating a post-truth dystopia. So whenever somebody forwards some photo or video to me, I immediately fact check. I don't take things for granted. So the short answer to your question is it is happening, and it is being done by powerful people also. So we have to be really careful. So we have to make these people accountable. So the fact checking after the fact that they already shared does not work because, as I mentioned, fake news spread at 6 times faster than the real news. So the damage has already been done. And then if you're doing fact check later, the actual fact checking news do not spread on social news that fast. So we have to be careful and we have to have prevention mechanisms.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now we will move on to the next question of the session.
Okay.
Do AI make mistake during the during the fake detecting process, which can lead to misunderstanding a news?
That's a good question. So when I say, we are using AI to detect fakes, I am personally focusing on preventing fake photos and fake videos. So there's an entire different research on detecting fake news. Sometimes people can write an entire story just in text, making up a false story. So those are very hard to detect. Sometimes most of the time, we need fact checkers to actually check the entire story. But if you look at photos and videos, sometimes we do get false negatives. In my experience in the last 2 years, when we analyzed lots of photos, the accuracy of the algorithm is very high, 99.9%. But the small percentage when we see false negatives, that means we see a photo that is real, but sometimes the algorithm categorizes that as fake. That only happens when the photo is very low quality, when the photo is of very low resolution. So especially India, most of these photos and videos are optimized for mobile devices and optimized for low bandwidth. So many of these photos have very low bandwidth. For example, just a couple of days, one of my friends sent me a photo. We have seen some abnormalities, but those abnormalities are mainly because the photo is of very low quality. In that case, what we do is we search for similar images online and we get more context. For example, in this particular case, we got several similar photos that are taken from different angles. So if you have an event and several photos are taken from different angles, that is a high probable truth that this event actually happened. So there are some false negatives, but they happen mostly when the photos and videos are of very low quality. So we have to be careful. So what I want to say here is, even though we are using AI to detect fake, there should always be a human being at the end to make sure that, okay, does this really make sense? Or is this a real manipulation? Or is it, harmless manipulation? So there should be some human component in this entire process. But we want to make their job very easy.
Okay, thank you, sir. We will move on to the next question of the session.
Okay.
How are LiDAR sensors going to evolve the area of fact-checking? This is because the latest iPhone has a LiDAR sensor. This is the question.
Good question. So as I mentioned, one of the common questions I get is, you have developed this app, and what if I take a photo of a photo using your app, right? So that's where we use depth sensing. So most of these latest iPhones have multiple cameras. So if you just have multiple cameras, you can also already do some basic depth sensing. But if you look at last couple of versions of iOS devices, they have LiDAR sensors where you can map the entire 3D environment. For example, if I point the camera at my desk, I can scan my entire desk and get a 3D model of my study desk, right? So mainly the intention, the reason why they developed LiDAR sensors on mobile devices is for AR purposes, augmented reality. But it can, of course, be used in journalism. When you're taking a photo, just use these LiDAR sensors and multiple cameras to make sure that you are in a 3D world. And you are not just taking a photo of a photo or a video of a video. In fact, the reason why this is very important is just last week, during the election counting, there was a video that was shared on social media. And that video was, somebody played a video on their monitor, on their computer monitor. They manipulated the video and they played the manipulated video on their computer and recorded that using their cell phone. So that's how they spread it on social media. So we need these LiDAR sensors to make sure that it's to distinguish between 3D environments and 2D environments.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Now we will move on to the next question of the session.
Okay.
What persuasive strategies make fake news seems to be true?
Yeah, so interestingly, so the very first slide, if you look at my very first slide, I mentioned three things that are evolving, right? The first thing is, in the last 15 years, people got more and more addicted to social networks. And social networks and other, even media companies, they want us to click an article. So there is this concept of clickbait. So they write an article and they write three different titles for the same article, and they do an A/B testing to see which gets more clicks. So on one hand, we have this social media networks trying to get more and more attention from people. On the other hand, we have these clickbaits, right? So, and then combined with the recent rise in fake news, what people have done is, whenever they try to create a fake news article, they use all kinds of strategies. They first make the title very attractive. And once you make the title very attractive, title or the image very attractive, and you post it on social media, let's say you have certain political beliefs. The social media companies already know your political beliefs based on the articles that you read before and based on the content that you have seen. And this fake news with this clickbait, they'll be recommended to people who are, who have very high probability to click on that. So that's already some kind of persuasion is going on there, right? And in addition to that, they also write this, write the title in a very provocative manner. For example, the case that I told you about this Joe Biden, they wrote a title saying that he's really lying, right? He's wearing mask in public and he's not wearing mask in private. So that really provokes people, and people immediately jump into conclusion, and people have this feeling that they have to share first on social media to their friends, and they share it quickly, and that creates chaos and confusion, right? So people are really using these persuasive techniques, and one of the most common thing is having a very clickbait title.
Thank you, sir. Do you have time to answer 2 more questions?
Yeah, sure, I have time.
Thank you. So the next question is by a student of ours. This question is by Ram Gopal Harikrishnan. He is our student, and he wants to know, can Instagram be used in aiding and abetting constructive journalism? Do you want me to repeat the question? So can you hear me? Dr. Shiva, can you hear me? It seems we have a technical problem, but please stay tuned with us. We are rectifying the issue right away. We're sorry, we have a technical difficulty. Okay, it seems we lost connection. Okay, I'll repeat the question one more time. Can Instagram be used in aiding and abetting constructive journalism?
Aiding and abetting constructive journalism. So, give me 1 minute. Yeah, so there are several people using Instagram for to post their photos, but most of the time they are used by photographers. For example, not necessarily photojournalists, but mostly photographers. Again, it can be used. The positive thing about Instagram or Facebook is that they have hundreds of millions of users. So you can really make your voice heard. But the negative portion is also that because there are so many people share their selfies, they have lots of filters, and they share their breakfast photos and personal photos. So the point is, the real journalism gets lost in this noise. So that's one of the main problems in most of the social networks. I know several photojournalists or even media companies, they have accounts on Twitter and Instagram, but their voice is really getting lost in all the noise, right? That's the main problem. Of course, those tools can be used. So that's why we have developed one tool mainly focused on journalism, on true journalism.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sorry, we had a technical disturbance in between. We're extremely sorry for that. Shall we move to the last question of the session?
Okay.
So this is the last question. What are the precautions to be taken by us from becoming a victim of fake news or propaganda attack?
Yeah, very, very, very important questions. So here we can build all these kinds of technologies and prevention technologies and detection technologies, but finally it's up to the human being to really distinguish what is real, what is fake. So I want to give one example. This happened maybe 1 year ago. This was an incident in India. Without going into the details of actual incident, there was a fake news about some event, some protest or something that was posted on WhatsApp, and people really believed it, and they actually went to that location and fought with each other, and a couple of people were killed. Right. So it started by this fake news campaign, and it actually killed real people. Right. So ultimately, people are responsible to. People have the choice how to react to this fake news. So one advice I strongly give to people is whenever you see an article that is a clickbait or potentially polarizing, don't immediately share it. Do not share it. Wait for some time, maybe wait for a day before sharing it, and do your fact check. So first, do your fact check and wait. Usually these fact checks come 24 hours later because it takes some time. So do not immediately share it, even if you agree with the narrative or even if you disagree with the narrative. And also do not take any quick decisions. For example, if you see some fake photo, do not just use name calling to address some people, and that creates a snowball effect, right? And then it will destroy friendships and families and so on. So do not share quickly, do not react quickly, always do the fact check. And there are fact checking websites online. Always wait for 24 hours before you come to any conclusions, and also control your anger. I guess some of these are actually made to make people angry. So ultimately, you have to do the you have to have a self control.
So that was the end of our question and answer session. Thank you so much, Dr. Shiva, for taking time to answer all the questions. Now, I'll hand over the session to Manju ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shiva, for the demonstration of a great tool through that for photojournalism. Actually, fake news, misinformation, fake photos, all these are affecting our democracy, people verdict, etc. And the people who are good in promoting fake are becoming the rulers of the world. So that should change. We have to bring change. And your session was really helpful for that. And best wishes for your mission to put a truth machine in everyone's pocket and facilitate truthfulness in photography. It is great to hear your thoughts, and we look forward to having you for advanced training session. Thank you, Shiva. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for organizing this.
Yeah. So we are concluding today's session. Emerging technologies in artificial intelligence, blockchain, IoT, and natural language processing are set to make great contribution to media and journalistic practice. We journalists need to have a more open approach in adopting these technologies. Computer scientists, AI technologists, and the media professionals need to collaborate to develop best tools that would benefit journalism. We are having our closing day session of this global summit on next Thursday, 19th November, morning 11 a.m. India time. We have Janardhan Stray from AI Partnerships USA, Gulhan Canila, Head of Freedom of Expression at UNESCO Paris, and Neera Parekh, CEO of VPhrase India, joining us live. For the kind information of participants, we are providing participation certificates for all who submit feedback form. Please use the link shared in the chat box to submit your feedback. Looking forward to seeing you again on next Thursday, 19 November. Remember, it's morning 11 a.m. India time. Till then, stay safe. Good night from Team Christnagar, Maranellur, Trivandrum, Kerala.